Fatally shot Saturday night in the 7th Ward was a child actress who played a prominent role in the acclaimed 2012 movie Beasts of the Southern Wild. A second victim, a man whose age was not released, was wounded in that shooting. The Orleans Parish Coroner Office identified the murder victim as 22-year-old Jonshel Alexander.
My God. This stuff is sad, man. The Hollywood is starting to catch it, man. Hollywood's starting to get their comeuppance, man. And even though I rail against Hollywood and these liberals out there, and especially these sisters that really are the engine behind all of this movement to, pro-criminal, unsafe communities. All this rhetoric against police, they're the engine behind that. And I say pasty liberals are the catalytic converter. But the engine, the transmission, that's them. And it's still like, God, seeing this girl, like, yikes. I didn't see this movie that she made her famous, but I remember when it came out, and I remember it was like, some groundbreaking movie or whatever. It's just sad to see these sisters going out like this, man. Yikes.
The woman fatally shot Saturday night in the 7th Ward was a child actress who played a prominent role in the acclaimed 2012 movie Beasts of the Southern Wild. A second victim, a man whose age was not released, was wounded in that shooting. The Orleans Parish Coroner Office identified the murder victim as 22-year-old Jonshel Alexander, who played the role of Joy Strong, a friend of the 6-year-old protagonist Hush Puppy. The low-budget hit movie shot in Terrebonne Parish was nominated for 4 Oscars. Alexander was about 11 when she performed in the film. The NOPD said Tuesday that detectives recovered a pickup truck that is believed to be the getaway vehicle, and police are still looking for the man on your screen wearing a ski mask to the scene who was captured on a surveillance camera.
So these mask mandates have gotten so many people whacked, murdered in the streets, and it's preventing so many people from getting justice. Who is this guy? How do you know who this guy is? She never had a chance, man. She never had a chance. And I don't think she was probably the target. I think it was probably the guy that was the target. And she was with him, and she got hit up. Man. Like, I'm literally speechless on this one. I mean, from all accounts, she was a nice young lady. Like, how did she get mixed up with a guy that was mixed up with these guys? Or could it have been meant for, I don't know. But, God, she never had a chance, man. I can just look at this guy. She never had a chance.
New Orleans actress shot and killed over the weekend in the 7th Ward. Good evening and thanks for joining us, everyone. I'm Cherise Gibson.
And I'm Katie Moore. Jonshel Alexander was best known for her role as the 12-year-old actress in the acclaimed film Beasts of the Southern Wild.
But as family and friends come to grips with her fatal shooting Saturday night, Jonshel is being remembered as a fun-loving New Orleans girl and young mom whose life was tragically cut short.
So she had a little baby, man. God, dog. New Orleans. Off to the gun memorial. Okay, so New Orleans is 59%. Basically 60% Sun people. And 34% gliders. She never had a chance, man. She never had a chance. wow. I mean, we know the demographic. I mean, once I saw the demographic, I was about to not even come to the gun memorial because it was futile, useless. But in the city where you got that many, I mean, if it had 6% instead of 60%, the gun memorial would still look the same. So I don't think we're gonna get any kind of enlightenment by looking at the gun memorial for New Orleans.
Jonshel is being remembered as a fun-loving New Orleans girl and young mom whose life was tragically cut short. Jonshel's family opens up to investigative reporter Mike Pearlstein.
Long after her flash of celebrity on the big screen as a 12-year-old, Jonshel Alexander continued to be a bright light to her family and friends.
She would just light up any room. She was jazzy. She was feisty. She wanted to always be girly.
Now Jonshel's mom is planning her funeral. The 22-year-old was fatally shot Saturday night, apparently an unintended victim of a gunman aiming for someone she was with.
Okay, so, yeah. Listen, man. They always hit someone else. They always hit someone else. And it's usually a sister. I mean, she should have got her behind up out of there, man. And listen, nowadays there's nowhere to run, there's nowhere to hide. Because the sun is shining everywhere. Still, though, 60%? Good God.
22-year-old was fatally shot Saturday night, apparently an unintended victim of a gunman aiming for someone she was with. Jonshel was shot here at the intersection of Claiborne and Columbus. A male companion was also hit. He drove himself to the hospital.
So when I got the phone call, I just dropped to my knees because I didn't know what to think.
Word spread quickly. Her father, Johnny Alexander, found out at work.
I right then and there, like froze. I just stood still for like 2 hours and I ain't do nothing. You know, cause man, that was my baby girl.
Wow.
Johnny Alexander found out at work.
I right then and there, like froze. I just stood still for like 2 hours and I ain't do nothing. You know, cause man, that was my baby girl.
Despite the attention of being in a surprise hit movie nominated for 4 Academy Awards, Jonshel never wanted to be in another movie. But she stayed active in dance and on the cheerleading team at Martin Luther King High School, where she...
Martin Luther King High School. She didn't want to act no more. So, she wanted to, be, and there's nothing wrong with that. If that's not what she wanted in life, that's not what she wanted in life. Doesn't mean that it led to her demise or anything like that. It's just interesting. An interesting side note. It's more problematic that she went to Martin Luther King High School. God, should I look that school up on the Great School app? Okay. Martin Luther King Charter School, New Orleans. 1,023 students. Okay, has a rating of 3 out of 10. Test scores 3 out of 10. Student progress 4 out of 10. So not the greatest school, but not the worst for a lot of the schools we've seen on here. Okay, so 4-year high school graduation rate is 95%, which is very high. But the ACT score is below the state average. And the state average is very low. So, like, the average, a good school, kids will probably get about late 20s to 30, anywhere from like 27 to 30 on the ACT. These kids are getting a 15 at this school. Only 1% of the students ever take Algebra 1. Wow, I took Algebra 1 in 7th grade. At a public school in D.C. That's crazy. Test scores. Only 3% of the kids are proficient in English. The state average is 44%. So their school only has 3% of the kids proficient. And then you see math. I guess they have two different kinds of English, like probably like comprehension and reading and comprehension. But these kids are below average in everything. Yikes. 98% of the kids at the school are sun teens. 2% are hombritos. We hear this thing about smaller class sizes being the thing that holds sun teens back. This school has 15 kids per one teacher, so they have pretty small classes. I mean, I think that what you want is 14 kids for one student. 14 kids for one teacher, so they're right there. Now, counselors, they're doing really bad. They only got one counselor for every 812 students, which is abysmal.
Despite the attention of being in a surprise hit movie nominated for 4 Academy Awards, Jonshel never wanted to be in another movie. But she stayed active in dance and on the cheerleading team at Martin Luther King High School, where she graduated 4 years ago.
I miss her so much. Like, she was everything to us. Like, she was that missing puzzle, like, in our gang that we needed.
Police are now looking for this man, who fled the scene in a maroon pickup truck. Jonshel leaves behind a 1-year-old daughter.
This girl don't even know. She gotta know, though. She has to know. Life goes on, man. Babies are resilient. She probably was bottle fed, too. So if she's bottle fed, she probably, whoever give her the bottle, it don't matter. But, let's just be glad this little baby wasn't in the car.